to the Spotlight Roundup, presented to you by Psychedelic Spotlight, your trusted source for news, information, and unique perspectives surrounding the emerging sector of medicinal psychedelics. I'm Autumn Tribbitt, and it's the week of July 19th, 2021. Ahead in this week's Roundup, Wasana Health and the University of South Carolina are on a mission to develop more effective treatments for TBI. The world's largest psilocybin therapy trial to date achieves a milestone. Awaken Life Sciences welcomes a world-renowned neuroscientist to its team. And we spotlight a company whose focus is on guiding individuals through their psychedelic journey. Now, let's get to your Roundup. Last month, life sciences company Wasana Health announced their partnership with the University of South Carolina to develop and build a bespoke facility for advanced research and product development related to treating traumatic brain injury and improving neurological performance. The facility, called the Brainstorm Lab, will serve as a hub for neurological and cognitive improvement research, formulations, protocols, technology, and product development. And through this partnership, the Brainstorm team will work with the advanced neuroscience resources at the University of South Carolina, as well as teams at other leading universities to build programming, protocols, and FDA-approved medications to address some of the fundamental problems in the traumatic brain injury space, including diagnostics, prophylactic training, and neuroprotectant supplementation. Here's what Wasana Health CEO Daniel Carcillo had to say about the value of this newly formed partnership during his latest visit to the Psychedelic Spotlight podcast.
What's so important about what we are looking at is the pre. We have the post with SANA 0013 going through FDA and Health Canada approvals. Most recently last week, we got our pre-IND number, which is really exciting. And so that's great, but we're not satisfied there. We want to work in the acute and we want to work in the pre-phase. So at the University of South Carolina, we'll not only, figure out why that glass got broken, but we will implement through a number of different novel ways, better diagnostics, as well as just continuing to work on the most cutting edge science of things that we can do to prevent the downstream sequelae of TBI and the symptoms.
Be sure to visit the podcast page on the Psychedelic Spotlight website to listen to the full interview with Daniel Carcillo, who also talks about the company's plans to join the NASDAQ in the coming months. Last month, the world's largest psilocybin therapy trial to date, being conducted by Compass Pathways, achieved a significant milestone as it administered psilocybin to 216 patients that have been a part of their Phase 2B clinical trial of COMP360 psilocybin therapy for treatment-resistant depression. The core focus of the randomized, controlled, double-blinded trial is to investigate the safety and efficacy of psilocybin therapy and comparing a 25 milligram and 10 milligram dose of COMP360 psilocybin with a 1 milligram dose administered in conjunction with psychological support from specially trained therapists. The plan is for Compass to follow up with the patients 12 weeks after their psilocybin session, and with the intent to report data related to the trial in late 2021.
This is the largest study ever conducted as a randomized controlled trial, carefully controlled, with patients suffering with treatment-resistant depression. So it's groundbreaking in that sense. It was done in 22 sites in 10 countries. We know that depression is a global problem, and we've done our trials just in Europe and in North America, but with 10 countries involved. So it's a massive effort. This is a trial of psilocybin therapy, so it involves not only the medicine, but the therapeutic model that we've developed, and we've trained over 65 therapists. So this is a really, really important demonstration of what's possible as a foundation to move into larger trials that are required for patient access. And that's where we are right now. And I think that's not only good for Compass, but it's really good for patients in the field in general.
And now, here to provide us with his psychedelic industry-related public market update and insight is James Halifax, host of the Psychedelic Investor Podcast Show on YouTube.
What's up, Psychedelic Spotlight? I'm James from the Psychedelic Investor. Today, I want to discuss Numinous Wellness, who is planning on running a compassionate access trial to treat PTSD patients with MDMA-assisted psychotherapy in collaboration with MAPS. While Numi is ready to start dosing patients by the end of the summer, they were awaiting regulatory approval from the Canadian government. That wait is now over. Health Canada has given their stamp of approval to the study, clearing Numinous and MAPS to begin. I'm personally super excited for this study since using MDMA to treat PTSD may just be the most promising application of psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy. For example, MAPS completed a phase 3 trial exploring MDMA therapy for PTSD, and the results were stunning. 88% of patients had a clinically meaningful response to the treatment, and 67% of people improved so much that they no longer qualified to be diagnosed with PTSD. Now that the Canadian government has given Numi the green light, they can attempt to replicate these findings. Moving on, we have an important update on the psychedelic decriminalization bill in California. It's passed the Assembly's Public Health Committee, leaving only one more committee before it can be voted on by the Assembly floor. If it succeeds, it will return to the Senate, who will have to approve the changes made by the Assembly. Then, it will go to the governor's desk for approval. The main change made is they've added limits to the amounts of a substance a person can legally possess. For example, you may only possess 4 ounces of magic mushrooms, which is still like a huge amount. Now, while I'm not a fan of these changes, if it helps the bill ultimately pass, then I am all on board. Enjoy the rest of the episode.
To continue to get more unique perspective related to the growing public market sector within the medicinal psychedelic industry, make sure you subscribe to the Psychedelic Investor on YouTube. Also, be sure to sign up for the Psych Stock Report newsletter presented by Psychedelic Spotlight to get your weekly industry business roundup delivered to your inbox every Friday. Now, Awaken Life Sciences, a biotechnology company with clinical operations developing and delivering psychedelic medicine to treat addiction, recently announced the appointment of globally renowned neuroscientist and addiction researcher, Professor David Nutt, as the company's chief research officer. Professor Nutt's appointment is driven by the expansion of Awaken's psychedelic drug and therapy development pipeline targeting addiction, and will look to his expertise to lead Awaken's neuroscience research of psychedelic compounds for treating a broad range of addictions.
Well, he brings a position of global authority to bear for Awaken. He is a global authority in psychedelics. He's a global authority on alcohol addiction. He's a global authority on gambling addiction and opioid addiction. He was the former drug advisor to the UK state. And then what was really good is not only is he working with us, but we acquired 6 years worth of proprietary research from David, from his consultancy company, before he joined us as a CRO. And in that is some incredible assets. So not only do we have the pleasure of David's company, we have access to David's brain, but we also have access to 6 years worth of proprietary research on psychedelics and addiction, the kind of to the level of detail that we don't believe many other firms do. I'm sure there are some firms that do, but we believe we're in the leading pack now because of the assets and the IP and the know-how that are sitting within our firm.
And finally, as the negative stigma surrounding the use of psychedelics for healing and spiritual purposes continues to fade, more and more individuals throughout society, both new to and familiar with psychedelic experiences, are turning to carefully trained facilitators, or psychedelic guides, to help get the most out of their psychedelic journey. Psychedelic Passage is a US-based company offering ceremonial trip-sitting services for individuals seeking the opportunity to create a safe and productive environment for their psychedelic experience. Here is what Nick Levitch, co-founder and facilitator at Psychedelic Passage, had to say about the process involved with creating a safe, effective, and productive environment and setting for their clients leading up to their journey.
We start our vetting process the second we have an initial consult with someone. And we can gain a lot of information from just that first interaction. What are you already doing as far as your healing practices going? What have you already tried? What's causing you to turn towards psychedelics? What got you to here, right? So then we have a backstory. And then we explain to them, how we work, and if that meshes with what they're looking for, Okay, great. We, passed that hurdle. Then the next step is we send them a screening and intake form. So we understand their medical history, what they're bringing into the experience to make sure that all parties are safe. We feel safe, they feel safe. All these different factors are getting taken into account. And so, then from there we move into preparation, and that's where we address their concerns, their anxieties, their fears, and we equip them with tools to move through the experience with.
To listen to the full interview with Nick Levitch, please visit the podcast page on the Psychedelic Spotlight website. And also make sure to check out the Psychedelic Passage website at psychedelicpassage.com. And that's it for this week's Spotlight Roundup, presented to you by Psychedelic Spotlight, your trusted source for news, information, and unique perspectives surrounding the emerging sector of medicinal psychedelics. For more on the stories covered here, visit psychedelicspotlight.com. And be sure to check out the Psychedelic Spotlight podcast, where Global Track Solutions CEO David Flores interviews luminaries across the field of psychedelics and related industries. Subscribe at Apple Podcasts or wherever you stream. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Autumn Tribbitt. Be well.